The split verdict, Combs' longtime nemesis, 50 Cent, reacted to the news on Instagram, writing, quote, "Diddy beat the feds? That boy a bad man. Beat the Rico, he, the gay John Gotti," he said in reference to the mob boss who was acquitted on racketeering charges.
The courtroom was silent, the kind of silence that presses against your chest, thick with tension and electricity. Diddy sat there stone-faced but fidgeting, his fingers drumming on the cold table, his eyes darting between the judge, the lawyers, and the cameras that seemed to close in on him.
Combs, who pleaded not guilty to all charges, was convicted of prostitution-related offenses, but acquitted of the sex trafficking and racketeering charges in his case. After his verdict was announced, stars who have been connected to Combs over the years spoke out on social media, with fellow rapper 50 Cent posting a photo of himself smiling and mocking Combs' good fortune. He wrote alongside the pic, "Diddy beat the feds, that boy a bad man, beat the Rico," before comparing him to late mobster John Gotti. Aubrey O'Day, Combs' former protege and member of Danity Kane, also shared her candid reaction to his fate. She said while filming CNN's live coverage of the verdict on her Instagram stories,
"Oh my God.
The jury did
not guilty on Cassie, not guilty on Rico. No way that Jane is going to be guilty. Oh, this makes me physically ill. Cassie probably feels so horrible.
Coercion involved in that. It could still be that the jury finds,
Ronnie,
yes, a person
I'm gonna
was
vomit.
moved across.
Ahead of the verdict, Aubrey spoke to E! News about what justice would look like for her in relation to the case.
Justice for me in this setting, I would like to see all of the crimes that I know are true for him to serve time for all of those, personally. Professionally, I would like the prosecution to have done such an incredible job that nobody had any questions right now, and a lot of people have questions. At this point, if I'm going to blend those two worlds together, I would like to see a world in which they really connected the dots. I'd like to see them really bring home the charges that they indicted him for, because it's a dangerous game to play at a federal level against a billionaire mogul. There's cause for concern when you watch the trial, the very first part of it all play out, and there's still questions for people. I don't have any questions, but the prosecution needs to have done a good enough job to make sure that the jury doesn't.
Also speaking out was an attorney for Cassie Ventura, who dated Combs on and off from 2007 until 2018, and testified during the trial about the alleged abuse she was subject to during their relationship.
Sean Diddy Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words. 50 Cent's name came up during the testimony this week of Capricorn Clark. She is a former assistant of Sean Combs, who went on to become the head of marketing for his Sean John clothing brand. Clark rose successfully and professionally through the ranks of Diddy's world during her time working for him, which stretched between 2004 to 2018, so she saw a lot. Clark claimed that Diddy would threaten her, and she says he even kidnapped her in 2011. All of this matters as we build up to how 50 Cent kind of factors into what she said on the stand. Now, Capricorn Clark started working for Bad Boy after she worked for Death Row Records. Now that
The verdict had already been delivered days ago, not guilty. A stunning decision that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. But whatever victory Diddy thought he had claimed evaporated the moment 50 Cent stepped in. And when he did, he didn't tiptoe. He didn't whisper. He roared. In a public interview, 50 Cent dropped the bombshell that Diddy didn't win the case, he bought it. According to him, the jury's decision wasn't about facts, evidence, or truth. It was about money. Cold, hard cash. And Diddy allegedly used every cent he could get his hands on to make sure that verdict read not guilty. The backlash was immediate. People didn't just listen, they believed. Because if there's one person who's never been afraid to take a shot at the powerful, it's 50 Cent. He's built a reputation for saying the things everyone else is too scared to. And this time, his words didn't feel like rumors.
So they both had success in music. They both rose to fame representing the city of New York and the rap scene there. They have been longtime rivals. In 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about Diddy. So almost 20 years ago, this goes back a long way. And in that diss track, he says, quote, "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get 'em. They gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy, know who hit that expletive? Man, that expletive soft." Now, 50 is accusing Combs there of knowing who killed his friend, the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Wallace and Puffy were incredibly close, but Wallace was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles in 1997, and no one has ever been charged for pulling the trigger. This all happened during really the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry of the 90s, which involved Suge Knight, who we mentioned earlier. 50 Cent has also accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keith D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by brother love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and brother love is one of those other names. Now, from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to do with Christopher Wallace's death, and he's denied publicly having issues with 50 Cent. Here's what Combs said when he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have
see
a
it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't
Y'all
see
can't
it,
see
man.
that he loves me?
But see,
you really, hold on, you really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy, and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, "After the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator." Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, "Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." The prosecutor then asked, "What's the issue with an individual?" And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute, per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some.
They felt like receipts. 50 didn't stop at a single post or interview. He launched a full-blown campaign. Screenshots, anonymous leaks, financial trails, voice notes. He said he had evidence of intermediaries, people allegedly paid by Diddy's team, approaching jurors before and during the trial. Promises were made. Money changed hands. Silence was bought. Inside the courtroom, the whispers turned into roars. Prosecutors who had accepted the loss began to reconsider. The judge, visibly shaken by the magnitude of the allegations, called for an emergency closed-door session. Defense attorneys scrambled. Media flooded the courthouse. And Diddy, he broke. No more composure. No more calm. He stood up, shouted across the courtroom. He denied everything, accused 50 Cent of slander, of jealousy, of trying to destroy his legacy. But every word only made him look more unhinged. The judge ordered him to sit down or risk being held in contempt. And when he finally did, the damage was already done, because now the court had to respond.
Diddy issued a public apology, however didn't mention Cassie by name. As it's been reported, Diddy is no longer able to say her name publicly as a part of their settlement.
I was f***ed up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
The video was published to Diddy's Instagram, but has since been scrubbed from his page. Diddy's rival 50 Cent had choice words about the brutal video, saying first he denied that even happened, and then the tape comes out, so that means everything that N-word says is a lie. When someone watches that, if they have a daughter and they can imagine her being under those circumstances, that stuff is crazy. Like they let him get away with it. With all the influence and power you have, the person you're with is supposed to be a part of your life, not be forced. 50 Cent has long touted his plans to make a docuseries about his longtime rival. When asked what made 50 want to produce the series, he replied in part, "I'm the only one from hip-hop culture that's produced quality projects." 50 Cent and Diddy have collaborated on a few songs together, and when 50 was an unsigned rapper more than 20 years ago, he used to ghostwrite for the Bad Boy founder. But 50 Cent made it clear the two just worked together. He replied in part, "I wouldn't call it a friendship because there would be disappointment between us if we didn't speak to each other. There's points that we work together." 50 Cent would go on to credit Jennifer Lopez, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who 50 Cent said told Diddy he would work with him as a songwriter in the beginning of his career. 50 Cent said this occurred when he was getting back to work after being shot several times in May of 2000. He would recall, though, one time when Diddy called and 50's oldest son's mother answered the phone and 50 refused to talk to Diddy. 50 would go on to say he didn't want to answer the phone because he didn't want to ever party or hang out with him. He replied, "Puff is a business person. When people call him a producer, I see people that were taken advantage."
A special inquiry was launched. Jurors were quietly questioned. Court staff reviewed surveillance footage. Financial records were subpoenaed. Every juror's account, every suspicious transaction, every anonymous tip was suddenly under the microscope. And as the days passed, the headlines got darker. Whistleblowers from inside Diddy's circle came forward, former staff, security guards, event planners. One by one, they hinted at a massive cover-up, bribes offered not just to jurors, but to reporters, legal aides, and even witnesses. One assistant claimed they were told to destroy records. Another said they were paid extra to deliver sealed envelopes to people they didn't know. This wasn't a trial anymore. It was a ticking time bomb. Diddy's legal team released a statement calling the allegations outrageous. They accused 50 Cent of launching a personal vendetta. But in the court of public opinion, it was already too late. Public support had turned to suspicion. Former allies distanced themselves. Collaborators canceled projects. Sponsors pulled out. The empire was crumbling. And 50 Cent? He was relentless. Night after night, he took to social media. He mocked Diddy's meltdown. He teased new revelations. He promised the truth would be exposed, and that Diddy's trial wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. He began calling out other names, hinting that this wasn't just about Diddy, that other powerful figures in music and entertainment had used similar tactics. That this case was about exposing the rot in the industry. And with every post, every clip, every interview, more people came forward. Now, the judge had no choice. He reopened certain aspects of the case and appointed a third-party investigator to look into the jury tampering allegations. The DOJ reportedly got involved. Suddenly, the original not guilty verdict wasn't the exoneration Diddy thought it was the gateway to something much worse. Because if proven true, bribing a jury isn't just a scandal. It's a felony. It's prison time. It's federal charges. And as the weeks went on, things got even uglier. Anonymous leaks suggested wire transfers linked to Diddy's companies matched the timeline of the trial, suspicious withdrawals, cash movements. A pattern began to form. Not solid proof, but enough to warrant further investigation. The industry was shaken. Producers backed away. Venues scrubbed his name. His streaming numbers dropped. A-list friends stopped defending him. It was as if the lights had gone out, and the shadows were finally catching up.
Diddy and 50 Cent have long been in the rap game, they share another commonality, and that's 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his youngest son, Daphne Joy Navarez. The actress and OnlyFans model was named in Rodney Jones' suit against Diddy as she was referenced to as an alleged sex worker of Diddy's that also gets paid a monthly stipend. She has denied those allegations in a post made to social media, writing, "I am deeply hurt by the lies in Rodney Jones' lawsuit. The claim that I'm a sex worker is 100% false and character assassination. I am retaining an attorney to explore all legal remedies against both Rodney and his attorney." 50 Cent seemingly poked fun at the allegation of the mother of his son being an alleged sex worker. In a post made to his social media page, 50 wrote a caption, "I didn't know you was a sex worker, you little sex worker, LOL." But this would prompt Daphne Joy to respond to her ex again on social media, but this time would accuse 50 directly of rape and being abusive during their relationship. She would write in part, "Everything is a joke to you until our safety is compromised, which is happening now. You are wreaking real havoc, frenzy, and chaos onto people's lives. How would you feel if Sire was the one in handcuffs for nothing? Let's put the real focus on your true evil actions of raping me and physically abusing me. You are no longer my oppressor, and my God will handle you from this point on. You have permanently damaged the last hope I had for you as a father to preserve our family with these last and final false claims made against me. You have broken our hearts for the last and final time." Those allegations against 50 Cent would prompt him to fire back against his ex Daphne Joy and sue her for defamation. In his suit, 50 Cent said those allegations were unequivocally false and would claim she made the shocking allegations in retaliation after he moved to take sole custody of their son. Since that suit, Daphne has deleted her Instagram post accusing 50 of rape and physical abuse. 50 Cent was asked by The Hollywood Reporter the latest in the defamation suit. The rapper and television producer said he tiptoes around the Daphne stuff and explained why. He said, "I got a family court case. The allegations that came out, she posted things to her page saying some crazy stuff. But this comes 8 hours after I filed for custody for my son. And she put that up in response to that, and I'm like, ugh. In this climate, you know how quickly they pass judgment. Things have worked out since she said those things." He went on to add, "I'd like to respond and say some wild stuff, but I've got to sustain that for my son." 50 was asked if he was worried about the allegations, especially given he's making a docuseries about an alleged abuser. And 50 replied, "It is damaging. It is damaging just to have anything said about you at this point, because you have people out there who don't believe your intentions, and if things are going in a positive direction for you and something pops, they gasp." He went on to say for entertainment purposes, they exploit that as much as possible, but there's no merit to it. But one thing 50 wasn't asked was if he believed Diddy would be formally charged and or potentially indicted for the many allegations he still faces. But attorney Ben Chu, who represented Johnny Depp during his trial against Amber Heard, says he does see an indictment coming down in Diddy's future.
I agree with that. I mean, obviously, I don't have any inside information. I don't think many people do, but I do think the signs are ominous. These are very grave matters. As you know, there have been 2 raids on his properties, and that's obviously very ominous signs for him, although interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time. Inside court, he tried to hold it together, tried to appear calm, but every day, his world got smaller. Every report was a nail in the coffin. Every allegation, a reminder that the truth doesn't stay buried forever. And 50 Cent, he didn't gloat. Not in the way people expected. He simply said, "Justice shouldn't be for sale." That one sentence echoed louder than any rant, any interview, any post. The new investigation expanded. Subpoenas were issued for people close to Diddy. Private messages were pulled. Financial records dating back years were requested. Even past legal battles were reviewed for patterns. And through it all, Diddy watched the tower he built collapse in real time. He begged the public to wait for facts, to let the courts decide. But the same court he once beat was now circling back, stronger, sharper, more focused. Because if the verdict was bought, then justice was sold. And that's something even Diddy couldn't dance around. New hearings were scheduled. Witnesses were recalled. Some jurors asked for protection, claiming they feared retaliation. Anonymous sources said Diddy had been warned weeks before the trial that he couldn't afford a guilty verdict, not for the RICO charges, not with what was coming next. And now, we all know why. This wasn't just about one trial. It was about the machinery of fame. About how influence could twist a system meant to protect the innocent. About how the biggest names in music might have been playing a game none of us even knew existed. In the end,
Diddy didn't just lose it in court. He lost everything that kept the illusion alive. And if the investigation continues the way it's headed, the next trial won't just be about guilt. It'll be about how deep the deception ran, and how long we were all kept in the dark. Because this time, 50 Cent didn't just speak up. He blew the whole thing wide open. And there's no putting it back together now. Diddy's inner circle was thinning by the hour. People he once trusted turned cold. Lawyers who had once been proud to defend his name were now cautious, hesitant, distant. The cost of association was rising, and no one wanted to pay that price. The questions weren't just legal. They were existential. Who was Diddy, really? What had he become? And how much of his image had been a performance? One by one, old videos began resurfacing, interviews, backstage clips, parties. Moments that once felt harmless now took on a darker tone. Viewers watched them again, frame by frame, hearing the laughter with different ears, seeing the glances through a different lens. Suddenly, it wasn't just about bribery. It was about culture, corruption, cover-ups. New documents leaked online showed shell companies tied to Diddy that funneled payments to consulting firms with vague descriptions. Jury analysis, trial assistance, media influence planning. Investigators combed through every line. Experts weighed in. This wasn't just bad optics. It was a blueprint for manipulation. The story hit mainstream news like a tidal wave: CNN, BBC, The Guardian. Everyone wanted in. What had started as a verdict now looked like the tip of an iceberg. And beneath that surface, something massive, something rotten. Former jurors, even those who had ruled in his favor, began expressing doubt. One anonymously stated they felt pressured, that strange coincidences kept them on edge throughout the trial. Another admitted to receiving weird emails they deleted without reporting. The FBI reportedly opened its own parallel investigation. It wasn't just about Diddy anymore. It was about whether the judicial system itself had been compromised, and by how much. And standing at the center of it all, 50 Cent, calm, calculated, louder than ever. "You thought the game was rigged. It was worse than you imagined," he posted. His words hit like thunder. Fans rallied. Critics swarmed. Every move Diddy made, every breath he took, was tracked and dissected. Gone was the celebration of his acquittal. Now it was fear. Fear of what might come next. And something was coming. Because with every new name dragged into the light, every whisper that became a headline, the machine that had protected him for decades began to rust. This wasn't entertainment gossip anymore. This was history unraveling in real time. There's no script for what happens next. No precedent. Just a growing realization that even the untouchable can fall. And when they do, the world watches, and it remembers forever.